is the greatest strikeout pitcher of all time, the most difficult pitcher to hit, and he threw a baseball harder for longer than anyone in history. And if there was a category for most stories told about one pitcher, Nolan Ryan would be leading in that one, too.
I remember when I tied a National League record off him the night before the 81 strike. I got a hit the first time up. Base hit the left center. And Nolan Ryan the next 3 times up said, "You're not going to break a record off me." And he struck me out 3 times, and I swung 1 time and missed. I mean, he was yip, 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 yip. I mean, I bowed my head and said, "Thank you, buddy."
My rookie year, Nolan was pitching for California. And I tried to bunt off of him. And the next 2 pitches were right at my chest. And I thought, I'm dead. I went down, I mean, just fell flat on the ground, screaming all the way down because I thought I was just gone. And after the consecutive pitches, and after the second one, I got up and looked at him and I said, "I promise I will not bunt off you again. You made your point."
First time I ever faced him 3 times, punched out 3 times. He struck out 16 guys, and it was like, whoa, it was a man against boys.
The 1-2 pitch, strike, great call on Mills, and there's the record breaker. 3,509 strikeouts for Nolan Ryan.
Ryan had perfect mechanics. He threw as hard as anyone for every year of his 27-year career. But that streak goes back to his sophomore year in high school.
I saw the best arm I've ever seen in my life, and I put that on a report to the New York Mets that night when I got back in and made out my report. This is the best arm I've ever seen in my life. Of course, I saw Bob Feller and Herb score.
He told my high school coach, he said, "You know, I just came from Colt Stadium." They didn't have the Astrodome in those days. And I saw Jim Maloney and Turk Farrell pitch against each other up there. And that's 2 of the hardest throwers in the major leagues. And that kid you had pitching today throws harder than them.
He was Billy the Kid. He was the gunslinger. He was doing all that came to town. And I can throw faster than anybody alive.
When Nolan was on, you know, he would make the best hitters really look, you know, like school children.
He struck him out swinging. Strikeout number 5,000 is history for Nolan Ryan.
Ryan struck out nearly 1,000 more hitters than Bob Feller and Sandy Koufax combined. But it may never have reached that point had he not been traded to the Angels in 1972. That chance to pitch every 4th day allowed him to compile record strikeout totals and throw the first of 4 no-hitters in 3 seasons.
I didn't all of a sudden one day say, well, I think I'm going to become a strikeout pitcher. That was my ability. I was blessed with that.
He had that mystique about him. Him and Sandy Koufax, I think, had the same thing. That when they walked out on the mound, they were capable of throwing a no-hitter.
Nolan went out there, and by the time he'd thrown about 2 or 3 pitches, all of the guys who were fooling around on the bench were up on the rail. They go, wow, look at this.
There wasn't a more feared pitcher in his era. I mean, you ask guys, if you ask most right hitters who would they least like to hit off of, it'd be Nolan Ryan.
Nolan was the guy that, you went to bed thinking about. He was the guy that you thought about on the way to the ballpark the next day.
When you step in the batter's box against Nolan, the hair on the back of your neck sort of stands up because his presence on the mound was about as intimidating as it got.
And he'd grunt and he would scowl. He had a good shtick. You know, he had a good, this is serious business. This is war. You know, I'm going to win. I'm taking no prisoners.
He got it. Nolan Ryan. No-hitter number 5.
Ryan's work ethic was as legendary as his fastball. After throwing his 7th no-hitter at age 44, he made friends and family wait to celebrate because he had to ride his exercise bike for 45 minutes.
My drive and desire to play the game and being competitive, and I really enjoyed what I did. And as I got older, it became even more of a challenge to be able to maintain that style and to stay on that level.
Ryan won 324 games, but he lost more games, 292, than anyone in this century. But that doesn't detract from his overall dominance.
He pitched for some bad teams. That's why his record was, at one time, pretty close to a 500 record. I don't care, man. You give me a big game, give me Nolan Ryan. I'll take Nolan Ryan all day. I'll take Nolan Ryan against the 27 Yankees.
I get a lot of satisfaction out of knowing that I worked hard and I took advantage of the situation that I had, and I was very fortunate to have some very good things happen.
Nolan Ryan, New York Mets, 1966, 1968 to 1971. California Angels, 1972 to 1979. Houston Astros, 1980 to 1988. And the Texas Rangers, 1989 to 1993. A fierce competitor and one of baseball's most intimidating figures on the pitching mound. His overpowering fastball and unparalleled longevity produced 324 victories and a host of major league records. Nolan's lifetime benchmarks include 5,714 strikeouts, 7 no-hitters, and 12 one-hitters in 27 seasons of pitching. He led the league in strikeouts 11 times, fanned 300 or more batters in a season on 6 occasions, including a record 383 in 1973. His strikeout victims totaled 1,176 different players. He is a Texas legend whose widespread popularity has extended far beyond his native state. Congratulations, Nolan, and welcome to Cooperstown.
Thank you. Thank you. This is indeed a special day, and I'm privileged to be here. I want to thank the sports writers for this honor, and I'm humbled by it. And I'd like to say thank you to the guys that I faced over my career, which some of them are here and sitting on this stage today, and I can honestly say that I'm enjoying seeing them now more than I ever have. And I really didn't particularly care for them when they had their uniforms on. So, guys, I appreciate it. I enjoyed the competition, and it was indeed an honor to face you. I'm going to spend my time today just thanking the people that played a role in my career, because I truly do believe that I was blessed by a lot of people that paths crossed mine as I went down the road of my career. My ability to throw a baseball was a gift. It was a God-given gift, and I'm truly appreciative of that gift. It took me a while to figure that out and to realize what a gift that I'd been given. And when I finally did, I dedicated myself to be the best pitcher I possibly could be for as long as I possibly could be. I had the pleasure, as Robin said, to live a childhood dream as many young Americans and Puerto Rican children live who play youth baseball. And I feel honored and very thankful for that opportunity. My parents played a very big role in my life. And as growing up as the last of 6 children, I didn't realize the influence that my parents had on me. And if they were here today, they would be very proud, not only for this honor, but the fact that my 4 sisters and my brother are here today sharing this honor with me. And they would be very proud to look at their children and see what they've accomplished in their life and see that their dedication and their work ethic had paid off and that they had instilled that in all their children. And I really feel like that they have passed that on to their children, and hopefully it'll continue to be passed on to generations to come. And to play as long as I did and to have a family, you have to be very blessed. And I was with my wife, Ruth. Ruth, I appreciate the job you did. And my three fine children, Reed, Reese, and Wendy. Baseball life's a tough life on your family. And to be able to play as long as I did and have the support that I had from my family, I can't tell you how much that means to me. They were the reason that I was able to play as long as I played, because they gave me the support. For my children, they spent 15 to 20 years of their life in baseball. And Ruth and I spent so many years of our married life that was our life. We knew nothing else. And when I retired, trust me, not only did Nolan Ryan, but the entire Ryan family had withdrawals from baseball. And it was tough. I always thought that there's going to be life after baseball. And so I designed that my life, I would have other interests after baseball that I would be able to step into. And I didn't realize the grip that baseball had on me and on my family. I can honestly say it took 2 full years for me to get over the fact that I was no longer a baseball player. I would also like to honor, or recognize, 3 people that are here today in the audience that were involved in my youth. Glenn York, Aubrey Horner, and Jim Watson. They were coaches that I had in junior high and high school, and I appreciate them making the effort to be here today. Red Murph, the scout that signed me for the Mets, is here with us today. And I'm proud to say that Red is a friend, and that Red took more of an interest in me at an early age. He thought when he saw me at 6'2" and 140, he wasn't discouraged by my build and by the way I threw the baseball, as many other scouts were. And I appreciate the fact that Red spent so much time with me and worked to help me become a better pitcher. Thank you, Red. When I went to New York Mets, I got there at my first stop at 19, and I was overwhelmed by being there and truly intimidated. And then when I went to stay in '68, I can honestly say that I was not focused on my career and on what it took to be a major league pitcher and to be a starting pitcher. But I had the opportunity to be a teammate of Tom Seaver's for 4 years and get the opportunity to see how Tom conducted himself, his professional attitude, and his dedication to his job as a pitcher, and that he looked at baseball as a career, just not as an opportunity for a short period of time. And so I truly paid attention to Tom, and I feel like Tom affected my career, and I appreciate the influence, Tom, for what you had on my career. Jerry Grody's in the audience today, and Jerry was a roommate of mine for 4 years, or I was his roommate for 4 years, and I appreciate Jerry and the job he did as my catcher. When I got traded to the California Angels, I really wasn't that excited about going to the Angels because it meant changing leagues and also a whole new set of teammates. But shortly after I got there, I realized that it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I like to refer to my years with the Angels as the foundation of my career. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to develop friendships with 3 very unique people. I still think that Gene Autry is the best owner that I ever played for, and I was proud to be able to say that Gene and I were friends. Gene loved the game of baseball, and every player that played for Gene truly admired Gene. He would come into the clubhouse, he would sit down and visit with you. If you could get him to tell stories about banking movies and going to the rodeos and the things that he did, before long you'd turn around and the whole team be gathered around him because that's the way they felt about him. Also, when I went to the Angels, Tom Morgan was a pitching coach. And Tom Morgan took Nolan Ryan on as a special project. And I truly appreciated the effort that Tom gave me and the fact that he wasn't going to allow me to stumble and fall. And if Tom was here today, I'd walk up to him, tell him that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And then we had Jimmy Reese, a really close friend of mine, who I'm proud to say that we named our second son Reese after, because that's how much he meant to us. And we spent a lot of time in those days on the road, and I really feel like that he helped me as far as my conditioning program because of the hours and hours that I would spend with him chasing fungos and having him hit me ground balls. I can't honestly say that he improved me as a fielder, but I was in better shape. Also, Jeff Torborg's here today, who caught my first no-hitter. Jeff, I appreciate it. Our years with the Angels were great, and I truly enjoy you as a friend. When I went to Houston as a free agent, I really felt like that those years in Houston had a very stabilizing effect on my career and my family, because it gave us an opportunity to live in Texas for 9 years at home, where the kids did not have to be uprooted from one school to the next and to have two households. So I truly am thankful for John McMullen for giving me an opportunity to play for the Houston Astros for 9 years. And when I went to Houston, they had a conditioning coach by the name of Gene Coleman. And that was the first time that I'd gone to an organization that had a program with a weight room and designed specifically for pitchers. And I feel like that through Gene Coleman that I learned more about conditioning and helped learn about the aging process and how you could slow it down. And I feel like that's why I was able to pitch as long as I did. And also, I have a very special friend that participated in that ownership by the name of Don Sanders. And Don, I appreciate your friendship. You played a role not only with myself, but many of the Astros and the Astro families by making it enjoyable and fun to be a Houston Astro. And so many of us would take our children on the road trips, and Don would always be there with his children, and we would find fun things to do and made tough situations much better for us and our family. Don, I appreciate that. When I went to the Texas Rangers as a free agent, I went with the intent to stay 1 year and finish my career there with the Rangers. And I stayed 5. And the reason I stayed 5 is because of the Texas Rangers. I've never enjoyed an organization more, and the staff and the ownership there. I appreciate all they've done for me. I appreciate Eddie Childs giving Mike Stone, Tom Grieve, and Bobby Valentine the ability to sign me in Atlanta that day. And I can remember walking off the airplane in Houston, coming home from Atlanta, and it probably being the lowest day in my career. And I'm a believer that you take a negative and turn it into a positive, and as it turned out, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And so I do appreciate the Ranger staff and the Ranger organization for giving me that opportunity. And while I was there, I was very fortunate to have a pitching coach by the name of Tom House. And Tom and I are the same age, and Tom is a coach that's always on the cutting edge. And I really enjoyed our association together, and he would always come up with new training techniques that we would try and see how they would work into my routine. And because of our friendship and Tom pushing me, I think I got in the best shape of my life during the years that I was with the Rangers. And Tom, I really miss those days that we spent in the weight room and out on the field working together. And that last year you weren't there, I can really say, buddy, I miss you. Thank you for being here today. And there's other people that I came in contact with in my life in my baseball career that necessarily weren't on the playing field or in uniform. Dick Moss, my agent. Dick became my agent in 1979 when I signed my contract with the Houston Astros. And Dick, I appreciate the job that you've done for me and watching out for my best interest. And I truly felt like that I was represented by the best. Thank you. And then there was Matt Marola, who has handled all my commercial endorsements since 1972. And Matt's always been very protective of me and made sure that during my playing career that what we had to do off the field did not interfere with what I had to do on the field. And I appreciate that, and I think the people that we worked with did. So thank you, Matt. Also, I'd like to thank somebody that definitely has had an impact on myself and my family and many ball players sitting in this audience today, and that was Marvin Miller. I came into the game when I broke into the major leagues. The minimum salary was $7,000. And I'd have to go home in the wintertime and get a job. In the first year I was in the big leagues, the job I had was that I worked at a service station pumping gas from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock and closing the service station. So Ruth and I could live through the winter until baseball season started. She worked in the bookstore at the college. And because of Marvin's efforts and people in baseball, we brought that level up to where the players weren't put in that situation. And Marvin, I appreciate the job that you've done and the impact that it's had on my family. Thank you. There's a lot of my teammates here today, and I appreciate them being here, making the effort to be here. And when I see each and every one of them, I always remember something that happened during our careers together. And I do appreciate y'all being there and the support that you gave me during those years. And last but not least are the fans. I feel very fortunate that I played for the 4 organizations I did. I played on both coasts, and I got the opportunity to stay in Texas for 14 years. And I can say I was truly blessed by the fans and the support that they gave me, and I do appreciate that. And that's what makes this a great game, is the support and the commitment that the fans give the game. And I may be gone, but I won't forget you. And I appreciate all those times that you supported me over the 27 years that I played in my family. Thank you.
"27 years in the major leagues. Nobody pitched or played for more. Nolan Ryan enters Cooperstown.